Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 447 for Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. Oh, it is 2022. Oh.
Still.
Welcome to the future.
It's really like 2019 part 6.
Man, it feels more like 2000 part 12.
Yeah.
It's March 675th of 2020.
You know, it's probably not a good strategy for the host to start the show on a depressing tone. So I'm going to skip that and go, look at this amazing panel. Let me introduce these folks, and we can get on with our journey into advanced tech mobility and something else. The sustainable energy. That's right. Someday I should write that down. There's a teleprompter function, isn't there, Kacey?
There is. It's nice.
I've only said it 446 times before, so someday I'll learn.
I know.
He's wearing a big red shirt with a large 3 on it, which I'm guessing you came in third place for something.
Exactly, yes.
Mr. Patrick Connor.
I'm number 3. Hello, everybody out there. Welcome from sunny Oregon. Should be a fun show.
I hope it's a fun show. Thank you, Patrick.
It's always a fun show.
Absolutely. And she is the source of most of the fun on this show because I can't take any credit for it. She is a writer, a director, a person of so many talents, I can't even list them all in a short intro. Georgia McKenzie.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And we've got actually a lot of pretty cool news and some fun stuff for you today. So ignore that whole, it's 2022. I mean, I know we don't have flying cars or giant robots, but we're working on it. And that's all you need to know.
Soon.
A Honda just killed Osimo.
What?
Really?
Osimo's been around since before me, I think.
20 years.
After me.
20 years. No moss on the Osimo. So
I know. Osimo's predecessor.
I have nothing but depressing news today.
I'm here for the bubblegum crisis future, and that's that.
Okay.
See, and only 4 people might actually get that.
I think that's some kind of anime thing or something. I know the name. That's all I know. Well, he knows much more than I do, and he's much cooler than I am. He is the host and the founder of the Tesla Life, Mr. Mark Coghlan.
You got a nice one today.
Continuing on our downer beginning, just a little PSA for everybody.
Oh, no.
You may be done with COVID, but COVID is not done with you. So continue to be safe out there.
Yeah. The people are not following through with masks or spacing mitigation. And people, even when vaccination is a seatbelt in the crash of life. That's what it is. It's not going to prevent you from getting infected. You could still be at risk for long COVID symptoms. Please wear a mask. Keeps you distance. You don't like these people anyway. Why get so close to them?
You don't want to breathe in their air and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that air.
Heck.
You don't know who showers. God, keep them out.
Well, speaking of a man who showers regularly and knows everything about all the superchargers on the entire planet, but especially the Mid-Atlantic region, Mr. Kacey Green.
Hello. Let's get started.
Oh, exceptionally succinct. So I'm going to go on to the founder and owner and main operator, the man who sold me my car. He is the founder of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey, and I second Kacey. Let's get the show on the road.
Yep.
There
I
we
have
go.
I have an interruption. So the original Osimo is a year younger than me. Not Osimo, but the whole chain of them. All right, I'm done.
The future will be Osimo.
Oh, very punny.
Poor Osimo. So I've got 2 things to start the show off. One is just a plug. Coming the week of April 12th, we will have in-depth driving reviews, information, pricing, photographs, you name it. Because I'm going to go drive the Toyota BZ4X.
Can you give it a better name?
That is the better name.
That's
You should see what Toyota calls it.
Yeah.
BZ?
I have not. Yeah. So that's coming soon. You want to know about Toyota's first fully electric vehicle? We will have the dirt, and I do mean the dirt.
Third electric vehicle.
Third.
First production electric vehicle sold in the United States.
No, third. They did a
High volume.
2002.
Yeah, I guess
Yes.
you're right. The two
The Rav?
Ravs kind of count, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
They
that's fair.
didn't sell many, but
No.
2002 they had electric vehicle.
You are
Oh my
absolutely
God.
correct, Paul. The
Nerds.
third
That
electric.
generation was crushed.
That's what this show is all about. Nerds. Electric vehicle nerds. So look for that. There's nothing else I can say at this time because I've signed documents that will take what very little I have of material goods from me if I say anything more. And I don't want to lose that stuff. Second, bonairevolt on Twitter had asked me a question, and I wanted to respond, but Twitter, for all of its wonderfulness and awfulness, isn't always the best place to offer up information. And bonairevolt had asked me, why would people go to work for Tesla? And
Stock options.
there you go. I was there. Why? And so I'm going to answer this from my personal experience. And even though at the time when I signed on at Tesla, I was getting to be in a place where I was very dubious about the CEO. The Techno King. I still believed in the general mission, not Tesla's mission, but the idea that solar is a good thing and helping people put solar and battery packs in their house was a good thing. And I still believe that's a good thing. So for me, that was a good thing. Now, I got the crap beat out of me pretty quick and didn't really enjoy a lot of the work experience that was there because Tesla's such a grossly dysfunctional company. But I was there and I was a believer to an extent. And I don't want to claim like any hipster, cool, ironic, like I was there to subvert them. No, I was there because I thought putting solar in people's houses, on people's roofs was a good thing. And Powerwall was one of at the time, it was the go-to battery pack for a home energy storage system. There are others now that are probably as good. I don't know. I've been out of that market for a couple of years. But at the time, the Powerwall was a good option. Of course, it was an option that we couldn't deliver as a company. So it wasn't picked up on, we weren't allowed to sell them. Anyway, so why do people do that?
2017?
2016,
Okay.
17. Yeah. And again, you could certainly tear me up. I know Tesla delivered a few Powerwalls, and I know that there was some talk about solar roof, blah, 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 blah. But
I have one behind me for a year.
I think
now my computer's being run off of my Powerwall.
There you go.
Because it's peak hours, so we're running off the Powerwalls right now.
I mean, battery storage in a home is a wonderful thing. And every home should have that. Every neighborhood should have some neighborhood cluster storage to draw from. We need a decentralized grid. I have preached that stupid crap for years here, as have most of the other smart people here. Anyway, again, to get back to bonairevolt's question, there's a number of reasons, but yeah, I thought I was going to do well. I thought I was doing the right thing. And then Elon killed home energy and I was unemployed with a nice severance and, to Tesla's credit. And I went on to do other things. So I hope that's an answer. And yeah, I couldn't have put that into 240 characters.
Well, you could to put it into a tweet size, because Tesla is a mission-driven company, and I believed in the mission.
See, this requires much more discussion, Mr. Connor. I don't think right away, I got to tell you, I didn't believe that Tesla was a mission-driven company.
So, okay, yeah. So, a lot of people that work there do it because they believe in the vision of renewable energy, electric vehicles. So
Sure.
the production, storage, and consumption of renewable energy, and that's a powerful message, and a lot of people really believe in it. And I think that attracts a lot of people to go to Tesla. And then the being an employee and getting stock is not a bad deal either. So that results in a paycheck if you can get some of those shares.
There you go. Well, thank you for that. Let's move on to the exciting news. We're going to start with Mr. Kacey Green, who has a story about the most boring thing in the world.
It's called it boring. So we've been talking on and off about the boring LA loop. Not LA loop, the Las Vegas loop, sorry. And the LA loop would be something awesome, right? So it's been doing pretty well. Like during CES, it moved, was it 15 to 17,000 passengers daily, which is more than what they were contracted to do. And now they're expecting that we talked about all these places that they wanted to expand to, and all the places that said, hey, put us on the list. And now they've actually started the expansion. And by the time it's done, it's looking like there'll be about 50 stations that can do 57,000 passengers per hour, which is pretty cool. And I've always been saying the whole time through this, since this is not funded from taxes, it's all private money, let's try it out and see. Whenever people break out it's not a bus, put a bus in the tunnel. Let's try it. Let's see what, we do the same thing we've always done, and we'll get what we always get, which is budget overruns, time overruns, and people peeing in the corner on the bus. So let's see what happens.
I'm going to disagree.
And if it fails, we can stick a bus in the tunnel. We know that works.
Right, we can put a train track. I'm going to disagree with Kacey to the extent that bullshit projects like the Boring Company stuff and the Hyperloop and all these other chicken shit projects take money away from solutions that we know work. Mass transit, trains, buses, things that we could buy, implement right away, and get cars off the road. That's my otherwise, Kacey, you're absolutely right. Why not? Try it. Who cares? Throw it against the wall, see what happens.
But we also can't say that it didn't work because they exceeded what they were contracted to do. So clearly
allegedly.
You think those people wouldn't get their money back if they didn't, there's a clause in there, so why not do it? And one of the things that we keep running into with this is, one, you're not sharing the vehicle with more than 4 people. 2, you don't have to stop at all the stops in between where you want to go. So right now there's only 3 stops. But when there are 50 stops and you want to go from stop 1 to stop 50, it's going to suck if you have to stop 49 extra times.
Is there a passing lane?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Wait.
In every one of the pickup drop-off
every station
areas,
is pass. Yeah.
You can.
I see what you're saying. Right.
You can't pass in the tunnel.
I don't know.
If that's not your stop, you don't stop.
I was reading at the Boring Company link today, attached to Kacey's story, and you kind of get to smell the Bond villain bullshit in there when it's like, and because they're individual motor vehicles or electric vehicles, that only you can ride in a vehicle all by yourself.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's not really the point.
That's not profitable.
Yeah, that's not really the point. Is that you get a free limousine ride underground. The point is that it's supposed to move people cleanly and
maybe if you pay extra, you get to buy the extra seats out. Maybe
during COVID era, that's a big plus for me.
That's true too.
I get that, and I totally get that. But
yeah,
I don't know.
What I'm most looking forward to, other than expanding this thing out and seeing what it can do with 10 stations, 20 stations, is for them to turn on the switch for the thing to be autonomous. Because right now, it's only able to fulfill a small fraction of the promise with it being driven by humans. But my understanding is, even though autonomous drive is legal in Vegas, autonomous drive underground is currently illegal. So I think that's the holdup.
Wait. You're telling me there's a law that says you can't drive autonomously underground?
Yeah.
Come on.
We only want it on the streets where it could go awry and run over people on the sidewalk. Underground, no, that's too safe. We don't want that.
Right. Not only is there less to confuse the computer, if it hits something, it can just kind of skate against the wall like playing bowling with the bumpers on.
Sounds very unappealing.
I got nothing. I have nothing for that, Kacey.
But if there's no drivers, then you're going to get like The homeless guys pissing in the cars and stuff.
Ew.
Well, there's that.
Mm.
Oh, it's Vegas. What are you going to get in there? Exactly what you're going to get everywhere else with autonomous vehicles, okay?
Yep.
There's going to be a whole new level of how many times have you had sex in that car, okay?
Well, I
No-
can guarantee I am not using any of
What?
these
So that
cars.
instead of the Mile High Club, that will be the 50 feet under
Oh.
club.
Exactly.
This
Wild Low Club.
conversation is full of way too many bodily fluids.
Well, they could use black lighting so you can see all
No.
the.
Well, don't forget they've also got a camera
Yes.
watching you the whole time too, so they know who did it and how. who
And
charged
in
penny for it.
Vegas, that's on the pay-per-view channel.
Ah.
New income stream for the Boring Company.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they should like have cameras that you could like click so while like look what's going on in the car ahead of you. And it's like, oh my God.
Ooh, thank you.
Pay-per-view.
It is
Oh, you didn't pay
Vegas.
the cleaning fee. We're selling you on those sites.
Oh.
Right, so they'll get rid of the drivers, but then they'll have to hire twice as many people to be the cleanup concierge.
So there's 3 Tesla owners on this show right
Yes.
now. If
Absolutely.
your car had full complete, let's just pretend your car had full complete autonomy, robotaxi service, would you put your vehicle into robotaxi service?
Yeah.
If I had a second one, I would, and I would also set the limit for like 4 stars and up or something like that.
I don't want other people farting in my car.
All
Right.
I got 2 no's and 1 conditional
Yeah.
maybe.
It's
Right.
a sacred space. Only you get to fart in your car.
Well, if they still keep the friends and family only setting, then yeah, I'd put it on there 100%. But like you
Well-
said, conditionally otherwise.
I honestly think that most Tesla owners, like, they may get sucked in by the whole, like, it's going to be a robotaxi, it's going to make money all night while you sleep, blah, blah, blah. When they really get down to brass tacks and like, no, you don't
Well,
want.
Not my daily driver, but I would get a second one and pop it in there if the numbers worked out.
I got nothing.
I definitely.
Well,
got
I mean, it's just like Turo or Uber. It's like, you
Yeah,
you do the
if you bought it
calculation.
for that purpose, sure.
Right.
That makes sense. And if you crunch the numbers and did the math and think that's going to work for you, sure,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, you can't love the business car. You can only love your personal car.
I mean, I don't like Airbnb either. How's
Right.
that? Let me go full. I
understand.
think Airbnb is awful and evil and should be crushed because I've seen what it's done to our coastal properties here in San Diego, and it's
Yes.
awful. It's
Mhm.
terrible. It's the social change we didn't want.
Oh,
Oh, Airbnb shut Russell down. Big Airbnb took him out.
Oh
Man,
man.
you don't think they're watching until
The
no ship
marketing
plan rentals for
AI.
you.
The reach.
The reach.
Hey, Russell.
You there? Hey,
Yeah.
coming
Hey,
back.
we're there. You get 1 minute to reconnect. So
I have
there you go.
no idea what happened, but yeah, there we
Big
go.
Airbnb got you.
And look, it's totally like, yeah,
It
now we
completely
have
reset to the last show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally reset it. Okay, my apologies to everyone watching. That was obviously something that I did that I shouldn't have done. I don't know what it was, but I won't do it again, I promise.
Somebody from the internet outside.
Casey, thank you very much for that story. Let's go to Mark, who has a story about the second worst EV name on the planet.
Second worst EV game. Okay.
Oh,
Well, the BZ's the worst.
GMC has announced that the Hummer EV has received 65,000.
No, the
Hummer?
Hummer EV is going to be in the tunnel in Vegas.
Oh, no.
it doesn't fit.
I'm not sure it'll fit.
The Model X barely fits.
Oh, yeah,
Hey,
they
Mark,
might have a
do you want a
Cybertruck
Hummer?
in there.
Do I want a Hummer?
Oh my.
Oh, whoa!
Show's already off the rails.
We just earned the explicit rating. Thank you.
20 minutes in, we're
I'm
off
just
the
talking
rails.
about big old EVs. 10,000 pounds of metal.
Georgia, we've been off the rail for a number of years. So don't worry about that.
That's really fair, actually.
We're not a train
But
here.
GM announced that they've got this 65,000 reservation. That includes both the Hummer pickup as well as the upcoming Hummer SUV variation. So the two of them together, they get 65,000 reservations, people that have put some money down for it. The problem is, of course, is that they can't make near that many. And now they're scrambling to try to figure out how they can start to fill out some of these reservations. As it sits, it's going to be into 2024, just for that 65,000 number, without adding any more to the total. So they've got a little bit of a hit on their hands beyond what they expected. So they've kind of doubled down on their resources to see if they could start spitting them out quicker somehow. Maybe getting another line running, whatever it may be, because they've got orders to fill, and I'm sure the price of gas is not hurting the situation on the sales of these vehicles. Even though we know that we're talking a six-figure vehicle here, they're over $100,000. So people are lining up to get this vehicle, and GM is going to have to do a little work in order to get these out in a timely fashion. And I would suggest if you've got the money down on these things, the quicker you get them out, the better, because if you wait a little bit too long, you're going to have some other entries into the market, and people may take their money away while they're waiting and go for something else. So I would suggest that GM start figuring out how they can run that extra line or get that vehicle to customers' hands quicker than what they originally thought.
The lines are so long that you've got, not just the fact that they can't make enough of them, but you've got the dealers doing their thing with the market adjustment. You've got customers flipping them, like not physically, but financially. Right. Like there's one for sale right now for $310,000.
What?
Yes. Like he bought it. Yeah, scalper. He bought it, left it in the same dealership, and said, "Hey, it's on consignment. You sell it." 310.
Holy cow!
So, GM has finally kind of learned their lesson when they came out with their this generation, first EV of this generation. I'll call the Chevy Volt. It should not have been a Chevy.
Right.
Chevy's supposed to be. Yes, it should have been a Cadillac, because it's a lot of new technology is coming in at the high end. They did eventually make a Cadillac
they made it worse.
version, but yeah, it was low volume, and they didn't sell very many, and they didn't anyway. When you're coming out with new technology, if you come in at the high end, then you can have the margins, and they're finally doing it right. Only 11 years later. And we don't need a lot of Hummers on the road, but the fact that they're able to have more, they have more orders than they can make, and so if they have to pay extra to get batteries to expedite some materials or whatever, they can afford to, because this is a six-figure car, and they're not just getting by on a 2% margin.
Yep. Well, at least they didn't do what Ford did and say, "Hey, we sold out."
No,
it's like you sold out. Make some more. Shoot.
Right? Yes.
The Chevy Lyric. My kid wants a Cadillac Lyric.
Chevy
really
Lyric.
Yeah.
It's a sharp-looking vehicle.
I just want an electric.
I sell for like a electric Twizy. Like I don't need something that weighs 7,000 pounds and costs seven figures But I'm an apartment dweller.
Keep in mind, the Cadillac crowd is coming from what? Escalades? Like that's what they are. Like that's what people expect from the Cadillac brand. So
EV Escalades.
An EV that is 7,000 pounds
size of your
is
house.
quite acceptable for a Cadillac.
I just want an EV Mini Cooper.
They have them, but they were in such short supply.
Very short supply.
Yeah.
And they're adorable.
The Mini's adorable.
And I want a Countryman. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand for those international viewers that you do still have them, but you can't get them here.
Yeah. Not that, hey, cheers if you can get them where you live. That's a good thing. Well, let's go to our next story. Mr. Paul Guzik has a story about robots, unlike Osimo, that are coming, not going.
Yes. So, article this week from Bloomberg about self-driving big rigs, robot truckers, and if you read through the article, it's pretty interesting. They're talking about using them for the boring part of the drive. You know, the truck could get to the outskirts of LA, human gets out, robot takes over, drives to Dallas, gets to the outskirts of Dallas, human gets in, drives it the last 20 miles into town. Because anybody who's ever driven interstates knows that after about half an hour, it gets pretty boring. And truckers do not like that. A lot of them are away from their families for many days. And there's a huge shortage of drivers. I think right now the industry needs 60,000 drivers to kind of break even with the demand. And they're talking about lowering the driving age from 21 to 18.
Jesus.
So would you rather have an
No.
18-year-old driving a big rig or a robot with artificial intelligence? And obviously they can't do it in Minnesota in the winter, at least yet. But I think this could change things. Let drivers do the skillful part in cities and loading docks, and let the robot do the boring part. And maybe that will help the industry, help consumers get goods quicker because, the robot doesn't need to stop to eat, to pee, to rest, to sleep. They can load up the truck, and as long as it has fuel, keep on going.
The robot's not subject to the limitations of like the legal driving limitations either, as far as time.
Yeah.
And the robot's not going to look at its cell phone, not going to look at the cute person driving the sports car beside them.
The robot's not gobbling amphetamines to stay up all night. Yeah.
So, I mean,
hopefully,
who's going to get there first? Will it be Elon's semi or some other company's technology? But that is something that I think has promise in the interstate world.
Yeah, the company. Go ahead, Kacey.
Another approach that we've seen that I covered the other day was you've got basically like the U.S. Military drones, where you've got truckers in a box and they're driving a truck that's elsewhere. I didn't realize that the demo they did was not the box was just down the street from the truck. The truck was actually in Norway, and the box was where the conference was. That was incredible.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah, and maybe the first couple of years, the artificial intelligence, when it gets in over its head, it says, okay, we're going to switch to remote co-pilot mode. And if it gets scarier than that, then we're going to pull over and get a human driver dispatched to get through the construction zone or whatever.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to bring up. Is the company that I thought was going to win this, and they've shut down now, was Starsky Robotics. Oh. So they shut down in 2020, and they had a model where they had backup drivers. It was AI driven, and then if it got into a spot where it was confused or uncertain, it could call home. The remote driver could actually either pilot the vehicle or just plot a path for it, and then the vehicle didn't have to make decisions other than don't hit something right in front of me, otherwise follow this path to get through whatever tricky spot. It seemed like a great way to compromise. We know there are going to be situations that AI can't handle early on, so have a human backup and to have a way for it to phone home and say, please help. And then you could have, one driver that's covering a dozen trucks, because most of the time they don't need attention. And then the driver would get the context they need because the vehicle would have slowed down or whatever. It seemed like a great idea, but nope, they're gone now.
Hmm.
You've got these other companies to be mental.
And the idea that if you're a professional driver, you can use your skill set in an urban environment, pick up the car in the city limits or the edge of the city, and then be home with your family every night instead of being on the road 300 days a year like traditional long-haul truckers, which the article also says there's a turnover of the average long-haul driver lasts a year at the company.
That's it? Wow.
Yeah.
Because they get burnt out, and then another company gives them another 5 cents a mile, so they jump to the next company. So it's hard to keep loyal, stable employees in that industry. So
not to mention that starting pay of $47,000.
Yeah.
the hell can
Well,
pay
if you're
for that?
18, that's attractive, but
Is
I don't
it?
know. I've seen 18-year-olds driving cars, and I would not want to be on the same road as them driving a big rig.
No, I do not. And I mean, in that vein of safety, I mean, so basically you're getting out and just letting the truck drive. And I could see it as a vehicle assist where the long haul trucker is at least in the cabin and going along. But uh, that aspect of it, I
I
feel,
don't know. There's enough sensors on these modern vehicles that can see a lot more than a human and can react a lot quicker.
yeah, the
Yeah.
sensors on my printer can't figure out that I put a cartridge in. So you're asking me to trust sensors, and I am, to say the least, dubious.
Well, the amount of times that my half-baked 4-year-old car has like averted crisis that I did not see, and I'm a great driver, like million miles plus on the road, safe, and it's just incredible to me. It's like sometimes you get a little mouse fart for like a collision warning, or sometimes it just takes over. It's like, yeah, we're gonna stop now because there's somebody running a red light, and
Mm,
We're in an
So I
interesting
imagine-
time
Yeah.
for AVs in general.
We'll see.
I imagine that we'll see the trucks go first before we see any of these private vehicles. I don't know if we'll see trucks or robotaxis first, but it'll be commercial before we see private first.
yeah.
I would think and hope so. I mean, I think that's a good use for that.
Well, and the payback is good on the commercial truckers because labor costs after fuel is probably their biggest cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, those people get paid because it's a horrible job, but I mean,
Yeah.
they make good money, most of them.
It'll also
And the companies, I mean, part of their business is getting stuff quickly, right? So if the
Yes.
truck can drive 24/7 and only stop for fuel, I mean, that means they can get the goods to the customer quicker, and that's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say something along those lines that if they don't have to worry about the time requirements anymore, that'll also accelerate their transition to electric or hydrogen or whatever else.
Yeah, because I think
alternative
they're
fuels.
limited to 10 hours a day of actual driving behind the wheel per
Yeah,
driver.
with a break in the middle and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hope there's a better future.
We'll
for
come back
commercial
in 5
trucking.
years and see what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
We'll be
I don't-
here.
I don't know if I like the idea of 33,000-pound vehicles being the first ones we automate, though.
Yeah.
Well, they have to move slower. They're so much bigger. You can put more sensors on them. They cost so much more. The sensors are so much smaller part of the cost of goods.
Yeah.
Those are all
But if
very
you're
good
driving
points.
through West Texas, I mean,
Ugh,
there's not a lot going on there, right? Like,
Yeah.
no.
I think that'll also help a lot with all the road crashes we see today. Like the one that happened to me 4 years ago. A machine would have never rammed me 3 times. If it even hit me the first time, it would have stopped. But it wouldn't have fallen asleep. It wouldn't have drifted out of the lane. You know, it doesn't get road rage.
It wouldn't have stopped for happy hour and had a few beers.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They don't get road rage, and like you said, they don't get distracted or bored or tired.
And we could certainly have safety drivers in these vehicles. They wouldn't be subject because they're not operating it. They're just there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of
Babysitters, yeah.
yeah, they'd be babysitting, which okay, that's
If you
There's-
think it's boring driving through West Texas driving the truck, can you imagine how boring it would be being the babysitter?
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool for level 3 though. Like you literally are reading a book, playing a game, whatever, and you hear a beep 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 on the console, then you have to you have 15 seconds, a minute, whatever to deal with it.
Yeah, but typically these people are going to have to be ready to do something immediately.
yeah,
Right, but like
And
you
if
said,
you're reading a book or looking at your
Watching
phone,
Netflix.
right.
yeah, as a
Yeah.
safety driver
Or
isn't much
sleeping.
help.
yeah.
Right,
I
but
don't
like you-
I don't think this is a level 3 or 4 thing. This is a level 5 thing.
Right, but like Mark was saying though, if you're the babysitter and it's a level 2 system, we've seen studies time and again that the people will fatigue out
Uh-huh.
even faster when they're watching a console. It's just always green.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Diligence task versus an engaged task. They're very different for,
All right.
how you pay attention.
A lot of logistics to be taken care of in that one.
There are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go to Georgia, for something. I don't even know how to go with George. You know what, Georgia? Just take it away. I don't even know how to intro this one.
I'll take it off your hands.
Thank you.
It's my fault.
No,
But so there's no positive aspects to a war. Let me just say that right off the bat, because I don't want anybody to say she said that there's something good in the war. No, that's not so. However, there are at least new developments that will be positive because of the war currently going on in the Ukraine, where Russia is basically trying to take over somebody else because they're on a little empire building kick. I don't know what. I'm going to be blunt because it's they're just trying to have a little empire before Putin realizes he's very old. So here we go. What that means, though, for EU nations that have been dependent on Russian oil is that they've had to accelerate by quite a few degrees plans for sustainability. And I'm not going to go in depth on all of these because there's actually just a massive number. And I selected 3 that I thought were very interesting, relevant, and also weren't hidden behind a paywall. So you guys can read them if you want to.
thank you.
Because that paywall, nothing like locking you out of information. So the Netherlands is ramping up their plan for doubling offshore wind capacity by 2030. So they understand that they've got to move into completely far more wind capacity. So they want to reduce their dependence on Russian gas. Their current plans were at the total capacity of 10 gigawatts in offshore wind energy, with 3 gigawatts already operational or under construction. So now they're increasing their fundings by 35 billion euros, or 39 billion, to finance these projects. And that's pretty good. Germany is also pushing up more renewables because, once again, Russian gas, they've been very dependent on it. They use gas to heat half their households. So, hey, got to do something else now. Russian pipeline gas is 32% of the German gas supply. So this war has definitely taken a hit. So what they're planning to do, they're passing a new act, the Renewable Energy Sources Act. They're hoping to be able to get it through Parliament and actually start implementing it by July 1st. That would mean that Germany's going to suspend all their cuts to subsidies for new solar panels on roofs this year. They're going to increase solar tenders to 20 gigawatts by 2028. Right now, it's currently at 5 gigawatts, and they're going to keep them at that level until 2035. They're also going to boost the tender volumes for onshore wind energy to 10 gigawatts annually from about 2 gigawatts now, and they're going to keep them at the 10 gigawatt level through 2035. That should help increase the renewable sources resources. That should help them keep up their renewable sources of power to up to 80% of Germany's electricity needs by 2030, and to hopefully fulfill all of their energy needs by 2035, which is 5 years earlier than their previous plan, which was mensa about 2040. I know that's not exactly a massive acceleration for, say, an individual or maybe even a small town, but this is government. It's a little bit like trying to train a brontosaur to speed race. They don't move very fast. It's not going to happen that quickly. So
Quit
for
picking
them,
on the brontosaurs.
hey, I love brontosaur. They're delicious. Okay. On top of that, Britain, also a massive user of Russian gas. They're increasing wind farms and making an argument that I've always said is the biggest thing that people who are into sustainability don't make here in America. The Tories are doing it, and they're doing it to protect national security. Hey, co-opt people's terms, because honestly, when you take it and make your projects known to it, then you get to turn around and say to your opponents in politics, what? You oppose the hugging puppies and kittens bill that's going to create all this cool stuff? It's going to be the same thing here. Nobody's going to oppose big expansion of wind farms because it's framed as a national security measure, which is awesome.
You don't support protecting the sunshine?
Protecting, well,
I mean, we know better, but like you said, frame it in such a way.
Framing is everything, and honestly, that's why also before you read the headline of a bill, skip down and read the subtext or take a good solid look at it, because that's how people sneak bills that actually do the polar opposite of what their names are. And I could give you many examples of that, but not now. So that's their new government strategy. That's to free Britain from imported oil dependence and oil and gas dependence. And this has been really hard. The subsidy, all the trade restrictions on Russian gas and everything else has been pretty hard on British citizens, because it's a very substantial part of how they heat their homes, and it's been a pretty cold winter. So there you go. It's something positive that people are doing in order to fight this, because you can't afford to be this dependent on gas with a nation that kind of is looking around at your nation and thinking, that's
nice.
a pretty nice house. I could move into your place, and you should just let me. So what's that gonna go to? The net zero targets would lead to a drop in gas use by 65% by 2035 in the UK, and hopefully about 100% by 2050. I know that's a little longer. Some Tory MPs want a moratorium on fracking, but we're not going to get that. The majority of the Tory cabinet ministers would prefer more renewables and more nuclear. I'm kind of ixnay on the nuclear until we figure out how to clean up after that, but let's stick with the wind. So that's a little bit of a roundup of some of the things that are happening right now, and how this is also my attempt to introduce people looking at how current events can actually shape and affect all of the sustainability projects that are going on around the world, and how it affects our targets in reducing climate change, slowing climate change, or preparing for climate change. So more is happening, and anything I find out, I will bring to you. That's it.
I think you're right to point out that, you know what, I'm not even going to talk about the war. What I'm going to say is that people need to be pushed sometimes to do the right thing. And if this is a push that helps us do the right thing, that's a good thing. What's made me sad is here in the U.S., talking about, especially in California, we got to repeal the gas tax. We need a gas tax rebate or No, we don't. We need to keep paying way too much for gas, because it's what everybody else pays, if not less already. We need to put that money into getting rid of gas and getting us onto things that we can produce here. Not that we have to import from other places, or that we have to dig out of the ground and burn and kill people thereby doing it. So if that's the only, if that is a good thing that comes out of this horrible stuff, then at least we managed to grab one decent thing out of that.
I'm going to address one quick thing with regards to the gas tax and oil and gas subsidies here in America and gas prices. Nothing you're paying at the pump is actually connected to the price of oil and gas. Oil and gas is at some of its lowest prices right now. The reason why you are paying far more at the pump, and trust me, I know what you're talking about, because I drive a Fit, and I'm driving like an 80-year-old grandma who only leaves on Sunday for a 15-minute trip to her church. I don't put any miles on my car, and I just had to fill up, and I couldn't fill up my tank on $20. It was nearly $5.50 a gallon in my little part of the world. But the truth of the matter is, oil companies, gas companies have been raking in the profits. They are not paying as much per barrel for crude. So what's happening here? We are being gouged by companies that are also taking millions, if not billions, in subsidies to produce oil and gas products, which is, say it with me now, bullshit. So not only should we not be subsidizing them anymore, they're very much profitable. They don't need our money. This pisses me off, like when rich people come into a city and say, hey, build us a stadium for our personal toy humans to play games that you like to watch. No, you're rich. You fund it yourself. It shouldn't happen. And this is triple that, because this is an industry that makes tons of money. Why are we giving them subsidies? Why aren't they paying their taxes? Why don't they know how to cap blowouts when mistakes happen? Why are they bad at cleanup? So they leave it for Superfund sites for us to also foot the bill for cleanup. And why are they stealing money out of our pockets during a damned war and a pandemic? As you can see, I'm a little touchy over this subject. But it is completely disconnected. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands something here. Because if we're going to talk oil and gas and freedom from it, let's also talk about the ways they manipulate you as not just a consumer, but as a voter. Because you start blaming the people who put taxes on things that are necessary that actually go to repair your roads, because we all use the roads and we all chip in via our taxes. And you say it's the taxes. It's not the taxes. It's the greedy sons of bitches at the heads of these companies. And that's that.
And we've seen this whole time we've been doing this show, we've talked about how there's FUD out there against alternative transportation. And more recently, as the interest in EVs has shot up, they are worried. And so the FUD has gone to 11 as well recently. All kinds of the same misinformation we've debunked over and over again. It's been now being shouted louder than it has been in a long time.
Oh, yeah. And the misinformation is pretty much dialed up to 11 or 12. This upcoming midterms are super critical. You guys have no idea. I chat a number of people that I trust on Twitter, like Bellingcat, to discuss some of what's going on and some of their analysis. And yeah, this is going to be a really hard misinformation fight coming up. But we're off topic, so I'm going to roll that back over to you, Russell.
Thank you so much, Georgia. I was impressed with the lack of argument with your points, and everyone pretty much just going, yeah.
I haven't seen a single news reporter actually clearly say that.
Yeah.
Even in print or on TV or on radio, I've not heard them just clearly state that.
It's a business, and they don't want to hurt their business.
That's true.
One popular old rag they brought back out is the EVs are dirtier gig, and they use some new numbers actually, which is amazing. But what they decline to say is that who the hell is throwing away their car before the second oil change is done?
Nobody.
Everyone in their survey. Let's go
Apparently so.
to Patrick Connor for our final two stories of the night. Patrick?
Okie doke. Yeah. So this first one is on Grist, and it's titled, "A New Report Reveals How the Dakota Access Pipeline is Breaking the Law." So I thought this was interesting. I'll just read a little bit of it, and then we can talk about it. The federal government and the Dakota Access Pipeline's parent company, Energy Transfer, has misled the public, used substandard science, utilized poor technology, and broken the law by not cooperating with impacted indigenous nations. That's how this article starts. Wow. That's
Right off the bat.
Right, yeah.
What did Georgia just say?
No pulling punches here, just bam.
Local news is often a lot better than your national news reporters.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, this is according to a new report that also criticizes the Army Corps of Engineers and the EPA for not completing realistic analysis of the environmental damage that this pipeline could cause. So the report is written by an indigenous nonprofit. It has a comprehensive timeline of the controversial pipeline's legal and environmental violations. They've worked with a team of engineers. The report's authors have also included information about oil spills, leakage, faulty infrastructure. It's an interesting story, and they are calling on the Biden administration to shut down the pipeline. So, this is we are in more ways than one killing ourselves with fossil fuels. Direct pollution, environmental damage, ignoring water treaties for indigenous nations, sovereign nations. It's fossil fuels is a major cause for national conflicts, wars. It's so let's keep it in the ground, move beyond oil. That's the point I wanted to bring up. There you go. And if you want to check it out more, it's on grist.org.
And it'll be in the show notes. Well, what about your other story, Patrick?
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to end on a bit of a funny note.
Yeah.
And this doesn't start out very funny. So a man was fined $80 for plugging into an EV to an outlet that was in a parking lot. So this was in Surrey, British Columbia, which is a suburb of Vancouver, Columbia. It's not that far north of me, 400 miles maybe. And so he used 13 cents worth of electricity, and he got a fine for $80.
What?
Yeah. So
it cost them more to write the ticket than to.
It did. Yeah. So they had EV charging stations in this lot, but they were full. So he parked in another spot, and right there, facing the spot where he's charging, is an outlet. So he's like, "Oh, great! I'll just plug my Volt in here." And there are other.
And if it's an outlet in a parking lot, you'd assume it's okay to plug your car in.
Right.
Were the other stations free? Because if so, then I would follow that logic, like that.
I don't know if the other ones were free or not. So yeah, he used the same logic that Paul just did. If there's an outlet in a parking lot, then maybe it's something that you can use for your car. Maybe it would work for block heaters in the winter, or who knows what else. But they expect
or
customers,
just for weed whackers in the concrete parking lot.
right? And if they don't want people to be able to use it, they can shut it off. There's a breaker that it's attached to. You can shut those
Put up a
off when
sign.
they're not in use.
Do
A
not
sign,
use.
a lock-in cover.
Right, and there was no signage that said anything about whether you could or could not use it. So he didn't violate some sign that says not for public use or private use only, whatever. He eventually they did, as a one-time courtesy, they reduced the amount of the ticket to $0, which I thought was but we didn't cancel the ticket, but they just reduced the price, so it's technically still on his record, I guess.
That's what they were going for.
Yeah, right. This is on cbc.ca.
Oh man.
Uh-oh. I don't think Mark's expressing disapproval. I'm guessing he has some issue connecting up.
Yeah, no. Here I accuse people in Canada of not being polite. Mark is like, "I'm out of here. I can't handle this. Yeah, I will not put up with this.
I'm gonna put a Chesterfield right up your butt."
I'm gonna go get some Timbits.
I do have to say that this is a discussion that we need to have if we're moving to electric vehicles more widely. We need to talk about the whole plugging in, unplugging. We need to talk about these open sockets that have just been there for no readily discernible reason. Why is an $80 fine for 13 cents worth of electricity appropriate? But I mean, we do need to have these discussions. We need to come up.
Yeah, like Patrick said, if the parking lot didn't want people plugging in, put a locking cover over them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lock and cover, turn the breaker, put a sign. There's so many different ways. Like, it doesn't even have to have a proper working key. The fact that it had something there and then you opened it, that's intent and shows what they want. So
I mean,
There is
if
a
it has a
problem, of
cover,
course,
that
that
could just-
people are stealing electricity. They know it's not theirs. They didn't ask permission.
Right. That's why I asked the question
Is there
was
any
it free
difference
for
in
the others?
someone plugging into somebody's house? Like, it's the
Right.
same type of thing. Yes, this is a public parking structure. I get that, but you are taking
gonna say-
something from the
But-
corporation that you haven't asked for.
Right.
But
Yeah,
like
they'll-
if you're at Starbucks with your laptop, you don't have
Mhm.
to ask to plug into the receptacle by the table. You assume it's there to use as a customer.
Right.
But you don't assume that in a public parking space that you can plug your car in. I think
Right,
they're
right.
different things. Would you
The-
not agree, Paul?
Well, again, they put up a sign.
Right.
Not
If
for
they had a
vehicle
sign and he
use.
violated, or if they had a lock and cover and he broke it, now I'm all with they should fine him. He didn't do either of those things.
or if
Or
the other
was
stations
was
were paid
out of the
stations.
way that he had to run, but it was like sounds like it was like right in front of his parking spot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
all of a sudden, electrical outlets are sort of like gas pumps.
Yeah.
And as more and more
Slow,
electric vehicles go
cheap
on the
gas
road,
pumps.
we need to come up. We need to be aware of these things. And if you own a parking structure that has a whole bunch of 110 outlets in it, hey, guess what? Somebody's probably going to use one of them. You need
Yeah.
to either post something or lock it up.
Yeah.
Or turn them off.
The
Or
issue,
just let
the
them
issue is
use
not
it,
going to be
because-
that somebody used one. The issue is that 40 people used
Right.
one
Right.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
Right.
See, we got to put
Yeah,
like
but then the
an
breaker
honor
trips
box
and
out
none of them
there.
work.
No,
Exactly.
put an honor box out there. $1 every 15 minutes.
Well, you see, I think that the ethical concerns, if the other stations are paid, then the ethical concerns is that stealing. But if the other stations were free, then there's no. In one's head, the only thing is like, oh, I have to use my own adapter because theirs are full.
I agree. A 75-cent sign would solve all of this.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, again, we need to, things are changing. Guess what? That 110 socket you never got used in a parking structure all of a sudden has some value to some people, especially somebody who maybe is running out of charge and is desperate to get a few miles to get somewhere else.
Yep.
How did
know,
this
that's-
outlet
And-
that's
and
always
in the
got a
article-
$5 bill go up to $25?
Well, the article talked about the person while they were shopping in the same complex. So again, you might
Exactly.
assume that's an amenity for shoppers, right?
Mhm.
It's not an unreasonable thing to think.
Right. I mean, like, look at how many places have free charging while shopping. There was a guy who got in trouble for using the free charging while shopping and then leaving. Like, he was no longer shopping. So they're like, you broke our contract.
Oh, I got lots of those issues. Believe me. People that block up free chargers just irritate the piss out of me. But we're gonna leave that alone. Let's do some shout outs and go home because we've talked enough today. Thank you. Marvelous panel. Thank you, Patrick, for those last two stories. And let's start with Paul Guzik.
So if you're in Colorado, Front Range area, you need your hybrid or EV service, check us out, boulderhc.com. Normally we have cars for sale. Right now we have one car for sale because the market is awful. So if you need a 2010 Prius and want to pay an exorbitant price, check out boulderh.com. But honestly, if you don't need to buy a car, do not buy a car for a while. It's crazy everywhere in the country. Just don't buy a car. Figure out to keep your existing car or take public transit, but don't buy a car because you're going to pay an obscene premium right now. That's what I got.
I agree. Good advice from the man who sells cars and fixes them. Patrick Connor, what's going on with you, my friend?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where a long time ago I wrote about how GM was doing things wrong when they came out with the Chevy Volt. It shouldn't have been a Chevy. And like I said, it only took them 11 years to realize I was right.
One little badge made it all better.
Just one.
We'll see. Kacey Green.
Howdy. So over at youtube.com/Kacey Green at 110 Eastern time on Sundays. I do a show very similar to this. Sometimes with a sizable panel, sometimes with a small panel. And as I mentioned on the Tesla Life, I am still working on that lithium battery retrofit video. I knew that there were police running through and people going by, and all this noise on the road in front of me, but it turned out to be more intense than I thought. So I'm thinking about how I'm going to re-edit this so that it'll be worth your time to view. And you'll find that also at youtube.com/Kacey. So catch you on the flip side.
Do visit Kacey's channel and subscribe, because you need to. Oh, no. I was just going to, and then boom, he's
Mark
gone.
keeps like evaporating.
He's like so valiantly trying to get on just to like say goodnight probably at this point. Georgia.
Well, you've stayed here long enough. You might as well hit
God
like
knows.
and hit subscribe because you like our content. Go on ahead, hit the thumbs up. And if you already have subscribed, hit like, even if, you figure, but I like you. I keep showing up. It helps us. Trust me, just hit like on everything that works. Oh, puppy. And, and while you're at it, whenever you want all the full information, head on over to our buddy Mark's channel, The Tesla Life. Hit like and subscribe over there too. He stays online over there much longer than he does over here.
I think he's gone now.
Gone for good. And don't forget Kacey Green's channel. He's got his chat going on. Every time I get notifications for it, sometimes I pop in, sometimes I just watch. And hit like, hit subscribe, bounce on over to cardswithcords.net, see what Patrick's writing about. And Paul has one car. It's $1 million for a 22. No, it's not. Wow,
Take it off
it's
his
a
hands.
bargain. It's a bargain. It's not even a full $1 million. He has one car. It's the sole car for sale in Boulder, I'm sure. And he'll give you a
car I
reason.
have right now.
It's
Maybe
the
next
only
week
car
we'll
he
have
does
some more.
Hopefully. But thank you for hanging out with us. And back to you, Russell.
Me? What do I have to say about anything? Oh,
God only knows.
yeah,
That's
good point.
That's why we keep you here.
I want to thank, actually, what I want to say is, since Mark's not here to say it, do visit the Tesla Life. Search for them at the Tesla Life on Twitter. They are the place to follow for Tesla news. All the other, you don't want to bother with those Tesla shills. And bonus, Kacey Green and Patrick Connor. They are, as I understand it, often on that show. So you see him here, you love him. Why not watch him on the Tesla Life? Search the Tesla Life show on YouTube. Look for the shiny red logo and click like and subscribe and hit the notifications, because that's the way to do it. I want to thank Mark Coughlin, who has bravely tried and fighting with his computer on and off, but he'll be back next week. Patrick Connor, Paul Guzik, Kacey Green, and Georgia McKenzie for being on this show. We covered a lot of news tonight. I'm really impressed with us. So thank you, all of you. And of course, thanks to all of you out there who watch every week. You are the reason we do the show. Thanks to Michael Manring for his theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Nothing else there. You are the reason we do this show. So follow us on social media. We're at What Drives Us all over the place. And of course, youtube.com/What Drives Us, which is probably where you're seeing the show now. That's all I got. Tune in next week and find out.
Thank you, Derek, for the generous donation.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Kacey. What? I need to go back to there we are. There. Nope, not that. That. Yes, Derek, thank you. Yeah. Thanks very much, Derek, for the generous donation. Thanks to Derek, David, JT, everybody else in the chat room, Bruce. I've got to scroll through there and figure out. It's so cool having people in the chat room, and we do appreciate that. Tune in next week and find out what drives us.
Bye, all.
Stay positive, test negative.